Well, if there are mixed numbers that can be added, of course we can subtract mixed numbers as well. So I have an example here, 4 2/3, and I want to take away from that 1 3/4. Well, how do I take 3/4 out of 2/3? Fourths and thirds don't mix, so we find our equivalent fractions. These mixed numbers have two parts, so right now I'm only focusing on the fractional part. So I use my good skills to find an equivalent fraction. 3/4 and 2/3, well, they gotta be similar somehow. So I do 4 times 3, which is the denominator times the denominator, and I get 12. I'm finding a like denominator, because when I'm adding and subtracting fractions, I need like denominators. I can't add and subtract fourths and thirds. Hey, look, I have fourths and thirds. But if I have twelfths, hey, maybe I have 2 twelfths over here and 5 twelfths over here, I can put those together. So the first step is finding the like denominator. And then we make each of these fractional parts to that same denominator. 4 times 3 is 12, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 4 is 12, so 2 times 4 is 8. Timesing by 4 over 4, because 4 over 4 equals 1 whole. I times any number in the world by 1, it will stay the same. Sure, 2/3 and 8 twelfths look a little different, but that's okay, because they are still the exact same amount. Okay, now I have 4 and 8 twelfths, and I want to take away 1 and 9 twelfths. Well, if I have 8 of something, can I take away 9 of them? No. So sometimes I need to borrow from my whole number. So I just now have 3, and, well, what did I borrow? I'm borrowing twelfths, 1 whole of twelfths. So how many twelfths equals 1 whole? Any number divided by 1 equals itself. So I'm borrowing 12 twelfths. I borrowed from the whole number. I just took 1, and I'm borrowing whatever the denominator is. We're talking twelfths. So I'm borrowing 12 twelfths, and that equals, still talking twelfths of course, 20 twelfths. Okay, so if I have 20 of something, can I take out 9? Of course I can. So now I have 3 and 20 twelfths. Take away 1 and 9 twelfths. And I'm still just focusing on the fractional part. 20 twelfths minus 9 twelfths is something twelfths. 20 minus 9 is 11. Okay, that's simplified. I'm done with the fractional part. Now I look to the whole number. 3 minus 1 is 2. So 4 and 2/3 minus 1 and 3/4 equals 2 and 11 twelfths. I know. We have to find, when we have mixed numbers, we have the fractional parts, we need to find like denominators, because that's the only way we can add or subtract. Once we've found that, the like denominator, we need to see what each of those fractions equals with that denominator. Then, if we run into a problem, if I can't take 9 of something out of 8, I need to borrow from my whole numbers. So I borrow, just like I did here. We're talking twelfths, so I'm going to borrow 12 twelfths because that is just 1 whole. And then I can subtract the fractions, and then I subtract the whole numbers. Now, don't worry. Subtracting mixed numbers, they won't always be this hard. Let's look at this. 3 and 3/4 minus 2 and 1/4. Okay, I am subtracting mixed numbers. I start with the fractional part. I have 3 of something. Can I take away 1 of something? Sure thing. 3 minus 1 is 2, and we are talking fourths. Okay, 2/4 has to be simplified though. 2/4 equals 1/2, because I divided both sides by 2, because 2 goes into both 2 and 4. Now I subtract the whole numbers. 3 minus 2 equals 1. So 3 and 3/4 take away 2 and 1/4 equals 1 and 1/2. That is subtracting mixed numbers.